Hi everyone, welcome to BYURI. I am going to show you today how to make Hmong inspired ornaments, or just, ornaments for your tree. It doesn't have to necessarily be Hmong inspired, but I'm going to show you how I make my ornament today. First, all you'll need is any kind of Hmong trims, okay? Beads, sequins, thread. So you could use thread that matches your trims or contrast. It doesn't really matter. It's up to you. It's your taste. These are perfect for projects with your kids at home when it's snowing and you guys have nothing to do. And plus, if you have a tree that you want a specific look and you can't really find ornaments, this is a great way. Okay, so I use 2-inch balls. I don't know how much these cost where you're at, but where I'm at, it's about $1 a piece. And then ribbons. You'll also need my pattern if you are doing the 2-inch balls, and this will be available online at my website. All you have to do is just go to www.byuri.co and you go to the free downloads and you can get this download for free. Alright, you do have to sign up, and once you download it you can just print it out and cut your fabrics with this pattern. You also need hand needles, beads, or anything, like I said, sequins, whatever you want to decorate with your ball. Okay, so as you all know, I do a lot of sewing. So I don't throw scraps away. I just keep them in a box, an Amazon box or whatnot. And I just collect all these fabric pieces, tiny fabric pieces that are just scraps, and I use them for projects like this. So today I'm going to see, and even like trims like this where it's too small to really do anything, I just like to collect it because I know I will eventually use it. We are going to just use these fabrics. I also have a favorite tool that I love, and it's the disappearing ink. Okay, so when you mark things, it disappears when it's wet, when you wash it or whatnot. And also don't forget your pins. Okay, just because the styrofoam here, you can use it to like hold your fabrics in place, and it'll make your life way easier. This has a little stretch to it. Okay, so it's like a 4-way stretch kind of fabric, and I'm just going to cut about 5 pieces. When it has a stretch, it usually just needs 5 of these petals. Okay, and all I'm gonna do is just mark this like so, and fold it over so that I could possibly just cut 2 or more at once. You will need a very sharp pair of shears. Okay. Let's see if I could do the third. be a little too short, but okay, we're gonna just do this layer first. And let me get my shears. So you're just gonna cut. And with the petals, you have room for 1/8 seam, okay? So I've got my 5 petals. Now I'm going to sew them, okay? Okay, so I went ahead and sewn all the pieces together, all right? And then when you flip it inside out, it should look like this. And you just take your ball. To close it up, you probably just want to hand stitch it. It just makes it easier to just hand stitch it closed with a stitch, which is a slip stitch. Okay, and you just hide the stitches that way. Okay, and you see how it like kind of bubbles up like that because there are curves. What you want to do before you actually close it up is just take your shears and just snip the little curves here. Okay, just so, because every time you're sewing and on a curve, you want to make sure you snip, okay, just so that it will lay flat and beautifully. You don't want to do it too close to the seam, because if you do it too close to the seam, then you're just gonna cut right through your seam and it's gonna just fall apart, right? So you just want to do about that much. And I love sharp shears. I cannot stand dull shears because they just make my life way harder. The sharper the shears are, the easier for your fabric projects. Okay. So I have snipped them all. Now, if this was like a clothing sewing project, I would tell you to press as you go, but this is for an ornament, so I don't really care to press. Okay, so as you can see, after I have snipped the edges, it lays a little bit better. Okay, it lays a little bit better, but you still have to pull, so that's why it's best if you use like semi-stretch or 4-way stretch fabric for these. If you use a fabric that doesn't have stretch, it's gonna be a little harder, and you probably will need more than 5 petals. Okay, you'll need more than 5 petals. You're gonna probably need about 6, just because it doesn't have that stretch to give and wrap around the ball. All right, but you could also use these patterns or this pattern to create your own and use polyfill to fill it up. Okay, and just make like soft ornaments with polyester filling or cotton filling, down filling. It's up to you. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and stitch this ball close. Okay, So I grabbed a 1/8 ribbon, and I'm just going to cut about 6 inches. I'm going to cut about 8 inches so that I could create the loop here. Okay, so I'm going to cut about, I cut about that much, about 8 inches. Again, this project is really up to you how you want your ornament to turn out like. I would say you can definitely sew it in before you sew all the petals in. Okay, so I'm gonna just go ahead and go sew the ribbon here onto the wrap here. So I went ahead and stitched that on. Now I'm going to just go back and put this, or wrap this around my ball. So just pull it, stretch it out. Okay. And now I'm just going to use a hand needle. And like I said, you could use matching thread. Okay. And then you just knot the end here. What you can do is also to help you, like I said, you should use the pins, okay, to help you, to help hold the fabric, okay? So I'm just going to use a pin here. And if you're a perfectionist, it might take you a little while, but if you're just doing this with your kids and you guys aren't perfectionists, you guys just, you know, doing it for fun or whatnot, I guess it doesn't really matter. But I'm somewhat a perfectionist when it comes to my stuff, so I like to sew and not use glue. I do find that, you know, the craft glues or the fabric glue, it eventually does come off, you know, with over time, of course. And if you have kids who are rough with your ornaments, it's just going to not stay in place for long. So you just do that. Just keep wrapping your ornament, just like so. Okay, so I went ahead and pinned this down, just like so. As you can see, if you sew in the ribbon before you start folding in the seam allowance, that's what you will get, okay? And again, this is a stretchy fabric, so after you've done so, you stitch it together, you can mess with your seams if you want. Okay, so you start there. And then do the slip stitch. Make sure your stitches are no more than a pinky. That will not be good. Especially if it's like bigger than a child's pinky, they could just dig into the seam and just rip it apart. Okay, so I am finished with sewing the seams in. Okay, like I said, you could just fix the seams if you don't like the way that they're looking. Okay, so there is the ornament. Now I'm going to decorate it. So I have sequins that I'm going to use. You basically could just go grab like craft sequins from your store. Doesn't really matter what you use. You know, there are a lot of options. Okay, so just use your creativity and create your unique ornament. If you want to use your Hmong trims, all you gotta do is wrap it. Okay, so I just take the end, I just fold it in, I just wrap it. Like I said, you will probably want to use your pins because they help a lot. Okay, so you just pin it in place. Just pin it in place and you start folding. Okay, so you pin that. I wanted to go up like this. Just like this. And you start pinning it in place. Just do a little fold. Like so, or you could even fold it in here so you could see the design. Pin it in place. Okay, so I just got done sewing and doing the S stitch. So as you can see, all the pins are out. And then the bottom here, stitched up. There you go. Just repeat on the top. And I'm going to put tassels down here.